It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
That's caught! Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Richie right to the rim, driving score! He would not be denied!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Sponsored by Any Hour Services, Electrical, Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Kyle Ireland. On Utah's legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Welcome back into extended pregame coverage of BYU versus East Carolina here on KSL News Radio. We're coming to you live from Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium here in Greenville, North Carolina. You can listen to the action right here on KSL News Radio. Kickoff at 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time, 7:30 Eastern Time between the Cougars and the Pirates. Mitch Harper and Kyle Ireland here with you. We're seeing the East Carolina cheerleaders going through their practice and drills before tonight's big game as they're looking to paint the stadium gold tonight between the Cougars and the Pirates. And to get a in-depth breakdown of this matchup, it's time for 3 and Out.
3 and Out. A quick hit look at BYU's next opponent on the gridiron. It's 3 and Out on Cougar Sports Saturday.
So with any drive here on 3 and Out, you got to go with the first down.
First down.
Here in First Down, Kyle, we give you a stat to watch for in today's matchup. What stat has your attention going into BYU versus East Carolina?
Yeah, coming into today, East Carolina led the FBS in turnover margin. They had forced a number of turnovers and were +7 coming into this game against BYU. BYU's +3, Mitch, on the day. I look for BYU to win the turnover margin today against the Pirates. I think that's critical for BYU to find success and find victory.
I like that one. For me, it's 9%. That's the stuff rate for BYU's offense. Now, what stuff rate is that 9% of BYU's carries are being stopped at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. Not very often is it happening for BYU. So if they can maintain that in this game against an East Carolina rush defense that's one of the best in college football through the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, they're number 7 nationally. That's going to be key if BYU can maintain that level of success moving up the field while rushing the football, because if BYU is getting stopped behind the line of scrimmage, like we've seen BYU play American Conference teams in the past. Think back to years ago when BYU played USF, and USF had like 8 tackles for loss in 2019 on BYU. These have always been tricky spots. Even, Coastal Carolina back in 2020. There's been games, even Georgia Southern years ago. So making sure to move forward with when you're running the football is going to be important for BYU, and they've been really good through the first 2 games of the season. They look to maintain that today against East Carolina. Let's go to second down.
Second down.
Here in second down, we look at players to watch. Who are you watching for in today's matchup?
Yeah, the players I'm particularly going to watch today, Mitch, are the running backs on both sides. LJ Martin, we've talked about him earlier in the show and the success that he has had throughout BYU's first 2 games, 241 yards on the ground. He had a career high against Portland State in the opener. And then on the other side of the field, I think that BYU is also going to have to limit London Montgomery, ECU's running back. He only has 108 yards on the ground today, and that's really due to the fact that they're throwing the football all over the field. You've got Caden Hauser, who's almost 1,000 yards passing this season. BYU needs to be able to make this ECU team one-dimensional so Jay Hill can really have things teed off as far as the defense is concerned.
It's a good pick. For East Carolina, for me, it's Anthony Smith. He was excellent against Coastal Carolina last week. He had 11 catches for 136 yards. He's already up to 23 catches for 241. He's one of the top targets. One of the best receivers in the American this season is Anthony Smith, so keep an eye out for him on the ECU side. For BYU, it's Evan Johnson. We heard from him earlier in the show today. That was a good conversation you had with Shmev. He's going to be tested, and maybe Evan Johnson, by season's end, Kyle, maybe he's potentially BYU's best cornerback. I thought coming into the year it was Maury Bamba. We didn't see Maury much against Stanford. The guys that earned the most snaps were Evan Johnson and Trey Alexander III. Those 2 are listed atop the depth chart this week at cornerback. Evan Johnson is going to be one to watch as he tries to slow down guys like Anthony Smith. on this East Carolina passing attack. And then also for BYU, you got to look at Bear Bachmeier. He's got to be good for BYU in order for them to win this game. It's his first true road start. Here's a college quarterback. And, I got to think that East Carolina fans are looking to make this a hostile environment for him and rattle him early, along with East Carolina's defense that's had a lot of success creating some chaos and havoc this season. Let's get to third down.
Third down.
Bold predictions are what we focus on here in third down. How bold are you going, Kyle?
I'm going to say that Bear Bachmeier completes 80% or more of his passes today.
You think so?
So far on the season,
that's
so
bold.
far on the season, he's at 63.2%. He hasn't turned the ball over yet, Mitch, but I also think that 80% is going to play into this offensive scheme for today's game. I really do think that BYU is going to try and make it a point to run the football. I think LJ Martin's in for a big day. And so I think that Bear is going to have limited opportunities throwing the football. And so that's why I say 80% for him. I don't think it's going to be 80% on 30 attempts.
How many attempts are you thinking then?
I'm thinking probably somewhere between like 15 and 18 is what I would look for. I think that BYU is really going to try and make a statement with LJ and then also Sione Moa. BYU has shown the ability to run the football throughout the first two games. Really, I think that that's going to be the calling card of this offense is to be able to run the football this season. I expect that today as well.
My bold prediction, and it's going to be bold, I think just because the volume creates this opportunity potentially. I'm going to say BYU's defense gets 3 interceptions today on Hauser. I think they need to. Hauser's been really good taking care of the football this year. He's only got 1 interception so far this season. So that would be bold for BYU's defense if they can make that happen. Remember, last year BYU was number 1 nationally in interceptions in college football. This year, a little bit more of a slow start. 2 weeks ago, they had 2 against Stanford with Raider Mooney and Falatau Satuwala. Maybe they can get 3 today. So I'm going to go bold and say BYU picks off Hauser 3 times. They did that. They'll be in a great position to pull off this win here in Greenville. Remind you, BYU is the favorite in this game. They are a touchdown favorite in this game still as we count down to kickoff between the Cougs and the Pirates. A little bit less than 3 hours away until the game kicks off at 5:30 p.m. here at Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium. Expecting a big crowd. Their East Carolina athletic director said earlier this week that they're thinking about 47,000 fans will be in attendance for this game. So it's going to be an electric crowd here tonight in Greenville. Let's take our final timeout. On the other side, we'll get to some score predictions for BYU and East Carolina next here on Extended Pregame right here on KSL News Radio.